doing? I hope you're fine and staying safe at home. My name is Ernest Emmanuel, and I'll be taking you on today's lesson. Well, today I would like us to write a letter. I'd like us to communicate with the president. The state of things at the moment in the country and the world at large, we're not quite happy. Or are you? Yes. So when we want to write a letter, what kind of letter are we going to write to the president? Are you sure? It's for official purposes. So what form of letter would that be? All right. I think let's move on now. On the topic, formal letter writing. Formal letter writing. So can you rack your brain, recall what formal letters are all about? Yes. I believe you have your notes, your notebooks with you. All right, let's just look at this. Don't forget, when you are writing letters for official purposes, yes, you're writing a formal letter. But always know that they have rules that you must observe. But first, what are they? Can you tell anybody around what you think formal letters are? Okay, let's go. In this lesson, you will learn to do the following. You will learn to define a formal letter. You will learn to list and explain the features of a formal letter. You will learn to identify and differentiate two formats of a formal letter. And you will learn to write a formal letter. What is a formal letter? Now, a formal letter is written to a business or government organizations or any kind of organization. Such letters are written for official purposes. We say we're writing a letter to the president. That form of letter is a formal letter. Now you write such letters for official purposes. And that means your use of words, your use of language, that is your words. Your words must be very selective. They must be formal in nature. You are not writing to your mate. So you are not engaging in a conversation. The language you will use in discussing with your friends is not the same you will use in writing a formal letter. Your words must be very formal because they are for official purposes. They have a sense of, should I say, a bit of seriousness in a presentation or expression. So you must be very careful in your selection of words. Now, when we say they are written for official purposes, it means they are written to either request, appeal, ask, propose, report important issues that you want the receiver to be aware of. That is a formal letter. Don't forget, they are not letters you write to your family members. They are not letters you write to your friends. They are not letters you write to your relatives. They are letters you write for official purposes. What are the basic features of a formal letter? Now, every letter has its own rules and formats and regulations that makes it that kind of letter. Let us look at the first feature of a formal letter. Sender's address. This is the address of the person writing the letter. That is your own address. Now, in writing your own address, you must write your home address. That is your street or your house number, the area, the local government, and then the state before you give us the next one, which is the date. Now, the date on which you are writing the letter must always be in this format: 14th March, 2020, full stop. Students, please always avoid dates like 14/03/2020. It is a very bad method of putting a date in your letter. Always avoid this. It is not acceptable in letter writing. Always adopt 14th March, pending on the month, 2020. Third feature of a formal letter is the receiver's address. Now, this is the recipient, the person or the organization you are writing the letter to. Please, it's not the person's personal home address. It is the organization or the office in which you are sending the letter to. So this is the address of the concerned authority to which you are writing the letter to. Another feature is salutation or greeting. The general salutation for a formal letter is "Dear Sir" or "Dear Madam," as the case may be. You use "Dear Sir" if the recipient is a male, and you use "Dear Madam" if the recipient is what? A female, correct. The next feature after that is usually the subject. The subject highlights the issue for which you are writing the letter. Now, your subject must be very short and must be very, should I say, straight to the point. It must be something that when the recipient sees with a glance, he or she would have an idea of what the content of the letter will be. Another feature is the body of the letter. Now, this is a very important area of the letter. This is the main content of the letter. It can be divided into 2 or 3 paragraphs, all depending on what your case is. First is the introduction. The introduction is talking about introducing the purpose or issue of the letter. Your introduction must introduce what you are writing about. In few words, you do not write introduction and you begin to greet, "How are you, sir? How is your family? May God know." Your introduction, which is usually in your first paragraph, goes straight to the point. Just write why you are what? Sending the letter. There is no greeting. There is no pleasantries. You don't exchange pleasantries in what? In formal letters. So, first paragraph, introduction. Next, after introduction, is the main body, which is the content. This is highlighting or expressing the purpose in detail. Then, conclusion. This paragraph ends or concludes the letter, usually very brief. So this is body of the letter divided into 3. Another feature of what? Formal letter writing. Then our last feature of what? A formal letter is the subscript or complementary clause. Now that is where, after you have written all you need to write, you say what? Thank you. Now the most acceptable and generally used complementary clause is "Yours faithfully." Then the signatory, your signature, and then your name in full. Your name starting with what? Yes, starting with your surname in full. All right. Let us look at some formats of a formal letter. The first format we'll be looking at is the block format. This format does not require punctuation in the addresses, dates, salutation, and complementary clause parts of the letter except the body of the letter. Yes, you might be saying, what is this part saying? It simply means that all those full stops, comma, and the rest, you don't use punctuation in block format. That is punctuation in these areas: the addresses, the date, the salutation, and complementary clause. But in the content of the letter, that is in your writing, that is your expression, you must obey the rules of what? Punctuation. Okay, let us look at this example so that you have a clearer view of what block format of a formal letter is all about. Now, let us use this question for our example. Can we read the question together? Your best friend has been stripped of his post as a library prefect and is about to be expelled from school due to a misinformed account of a fight in school he was believed to be involved in. As a true witness of the situation, write to the principal of your school giving full account of the true situation. Now, we're going to use this question as an example for the practical format of the letter we'll be writing. All right. Now, Can you observe this format? Let us start from up, from the right, upper right of our paper. You can see the writer's address by your right. That is right hand side. This person lives in number 2 Casamine Street. That is the street. The area is Faringada, and he lives in the capital, that is Jos. And where in which state is that? Plateau State. This letter was written on the 14th of April 2020. Now I want you to observe that aspect. Can you see that format? What do you notice? Is it accurate? Yes, it's accurate, but something is missing. Punctuation marks. Is it number 2 Casamine Street, no comma, no Faringada, no comma, Jos, no comma, Plateau State, no full stop, and the rest. Now that is how block format works. It doesn't use punctuation in address. Just as it is displayed here, that is how it is written. I believe we are beginning to understand what block format of letter writing is all about. Now that is the receiver and the writer's address. Let us go to the recipient's address next. Now you can see he's writing to the Principal A to Z High School, PO Box 14, Kaduna State. What do you notice also? There is no punctuation. Are we together? There is no punctuation. So after the recipient's address, we have the what? The salutation, dear madam. Also no punctuation. So that is how block format works. It doesn't use punctuation in these areas of what? Of writing. Now we can see the subject. An account of the school fight. Now this subject is underlined and is also, I want you to observe that it is placed where? It is placed by the, it is not on the, it is not in the center, it is placed to the left. And it is underlined because it is not completely, all the words there, the text are not all in capital letters. Are we clear on this part? All right, let us go on to look at now the content. First paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth paragraph. Now, what can you observe in this paragraphing? Each of the paragraphs started from the beginning. Can we remember indentation? There is no space. Okay, maybe when we get to the next slide, you'll understand better. Now let us look at the complementary clause. Yours faithfully, signature, and full name. Can you also see yours faithfully is not carrying any punctuation? There is no comma there. All right. If you follow the rule properly, this is how your letter will look like. Can we see that? Yes, this is how your letter will look like in terms of view, in terms of the format from distance. But now let us look at this. Let's look at this. Now, this is an ideal picture of what your block format will look like. You can see from the top. Let's start from the top. You can see the writer's address. Next, you can see the words. The receiver's address. You can see the salutation. You can see the what? You can see the subject. Now that subject is not underlined because of what? Yes, they are all in capital letters. Then you can see the first paragraph. Do you notice that the first paragraph did not begin with a space? That was the first sentence. It started on the same margin with the next. Now this is block format for you. You do not leave a space in your first expression or when you are writing your first part of the paragraph. It begins, they are on the same margin, okay, all lined up. I know you'll be wondering then, how would I differentiate first paragraph from second paragraph? Yes, look at the first paragraph. Let us read it together. I am Jibril Jabid, final year student of the school. I am writing to give an account of the recent school fight and also to prove Damola Emeka's innocence to the school authorities. Full stop. That is the first paragraph. The next paragraph, can you notice that there is a space? So that is a new line spacing. There is a space. Then it all started out as an argument in our class, senior secondary school 3, Petunia. A boy named, can you notice that that paragraph also started on the same margin? There is no space. When I say there is no space, that is, in the new paragraph, the person did not use indentation, but he used what? New line spacing to differentiate his paragraphs. And it goes on down to the last paragraph where we can see, I hope that this report would be enough proof of Damola's innocence in the fight. I hope that with this, Damola would be recalled and reinstated as the school library prefect. Thank you for your understanding and patience. Full stop. Yours faithfully. You can see the signature, Jibril Jabid. Now, what do you also observe with the words? With the complementary clause? It is by the what? It is by the left side of the end of the end of the letter to your left. This is the ideal picture of what? Of a block format. Now let us look at an indentation format. What is indentation format of a formal letter? This format, unlike the block format, punctuates all addresses, salutation, and complementary close parts of the letter. The subject is centered on the page and has an indented body. Students, this is usually, I believe, the one we are very familiar with, where we have to use the punctuation in our addresses and a complementary close. Now, let us just look at this format. I believe you are very familiar with this. Number 2, comma, Kasamain Street, comma, Ferengada, comma, Jos, comma, Plateau State, full stop. That is indentation format for you. You must apply the rule of that punctuation. Your date, 14th April, comma, 2020, full stop. Can you see the difference with that of a block format that does not carry all these rules of what? Punctuation in this aspect. Also look at the receiver's address, same thing. All the punctuation, well punctuated where necessary. Dear Madam, comma, punctuation used to. Now, what do you notice about the subject? The subject of an indented format is centered. It is written in the center of your paper, just as you can see here. Followed by what? Your first paragraph. Now, can you see the difference? Can you see how the first paragraph started? Can you see the first line? The first line. Can you see a space? It started with a space. That is what? Indentation. 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, can you also see the complementary clause? The complementary clause is to your what? Is to your right. Are we together? Is to your right. And then yours faithfully, comma 2. You can see the signature and then full name. Now, let us look at how it will be written. As you can see, this is the ideal picture of how an indentation format of a formal letter would look like if well written. Let us start from the top. You can see the writer's address at the words at the top right side of your paper, followed by the receiver's address, left side of the paper, then your salutation, then the subject in the middle, then your first paragraph. You can see a space. There is an indentation. It started with an indent. You can see a space there. The next paragraph too started with an indent. The last paragraph too started with an indent. That is a space. And then Yours faithfully to your right, signature Jibril Jabid. Students, we must know the differences between an indentation format and a block format, just as it has been explained in this lesson. Well, I believe that this lesson has been beneficial, and I believe that you have learned something from it. But let us look at the recap. What did we look at in the course of the lesson? First, we looked at what a formal letter is. So it's written to a business or government organizations or any kind of organization. Such letters are written for official purposes. So we looked at basic features of a formal letter, the sender's address first, after the sender's address followed by the date, then the receiver's address followed by a salutation, then the subject or title, then the body of the letter, which you say is divided into what? Yes, into three, which are the introduction, the content, and conclusion. Please, we must have this at the back of our mind. The body of the letter is divided into three: introduction, content, and conclusion. Then, the complimentary close, that is thank you, yours faithfully, your signature, and your full name, that is the signatory. Then we looked at what? The block and indented format of a formal letter. Now, let us get practical, isn't it? Let us rack our brain and see what we can do. Now, I told you earlier that we're going to write to the president. I believe you remember. All right, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to write. This is our assignment. Can we read this together? Your country is facing high rate of bribery and corruption in every aspect, which is seriously affecting the economy of the country and is giving you cause for worry. As a concerned and patriotic citizen, write a letter to the president suggesting at least 3 measures to be taken that can reduce bribery and corruption in Nigeria. Wow. So let us get into action, swing into action, and let me get your answers. I'll be glad to receive them and see how well you have this lesson has impacted. Thank you.